Welcome if you're just joining us. Welcome to our program tonight. Kristen will get started in a few minutes. So go ahead and get yourself situated in front of your computer or your iPad.
And if you want to write notes down, make sure you have something to write with. I do have a lot of great tips for you guys tonight.
Again, welcome if you're just jumping on with us tonight. Welcome to our program on air fryers and pressure cookers. Kristen will get started in just another minute. I'm going to let a few more people jump on. We have a nice group tonight. And if you have any comments or questions, I sometimes forget to mention this. Go ahead and use our chat or our Q&A. Hello, Tony. Nice to see you here. And I think what I did with our last presentation, Kristen, I think as questions popped up in the chat, I think I just read them out to you. So,
yeah, if it was pertinent to what I was doing and maybe I missed them, I definitely did try to jump in and answer them. But if I miss anything, feel free to speak up. And then we'll have more time, a little bit more time at the end too, for just general questions as well.
Perfect. So the type of program format that we use on Zoom is a webinar format. So how that works is our audience is completely muted and we do not see you. We don't have, your camera isn't actively showing you. So this is the format we've used for generally most of our events, and it's worked out well. So yeah, I think that was a question from one of our attendees. You are all muted, so we don't hear anything. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll introduce you, Kristen, and talk a little bit about some of the things coming up at the library. Welcome to our program tonight, Pressure Cookers and Air Fryers 101. I think Kristen mentioned, I don't know, maybe at your last program, this was one of the very first programs you put together. So, and you do a lot of programs.
Yeah, this is my baby. This was the very first program I was asked to put together a few years ago. So awesome. Super excited.
Great. Well, pressure cookers are still the rage. I think a lot of people have them, and it seems like recently air fryers have become even more popular. I know I recently bought one this year too. So I'm real anxious to hear what you have to demo tonight and what you have to say. I do want to mention, hopefully everyone got the handouts that I attached with your Zoom link. So you can print those out or pull those up tonight as we're going along, or just keep them in the back of your mind. But if you didn't get those, drop me an email and I will make sure you get those after the program tonight or tomorrow. I do want to mention a program coming up. It's not cooking related, but it is called Sally Rand, America's Sex Symbol, and that's going to be presented on Wednesday, January 13th. It's at 6 o'clock in the evening. Christy Wagner, who does a lot of programs too, along with myself, she scheduled this one for Wednesday. So if you haven't signed up, it sounds like a fun program. And if you don't know much about Sally Rand, you'll probably learn a whole lot that night. So please join us. On January 19th, another program we have scheduled is Organizing 101. It's called Hitting the Clutter Hotspots. So if you want to sign up for that one as well, go through our website and you can sign up there. And I know we have a great sign up for that as well. I do want to promote Kristen's next lecture with us, or cooking demo. I do have her scheduled to come back on Thursday, April 29th, she's going to do a Taco Tuesday twist. So some different Taco Tuesday recipes for us, just in time for Cinco de Mayo and anyone else that's craving Tuesdays on Taco Tuesdays. So anyway, we look forward to having you back then, Kristen. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and welcome back, and let's get started.
Fabulous. Thanks, Valerie. Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Slick, and I'm going to be your cooking instructor tonight. I am a cooking instructor with my very own business called Mealtime Memories, Kristen's Classroom Kitchen. I'm also a family health coach. If you don't know me from before, I'll do a quick intro. I'm married, have 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old and 7-year-old, and I'm a former teacher. So I took my love for teaching and my love for food and combined it into this great career giving lectures to all of you. So this is going to be so much fun. Tonight, we're going to be specifically looking at air frying and pressure cooking. And we're going to be taking about 20 to 30 minutes on each one. And I'm going to be doing 2 recipes. I'm actually going to be doing chicken Parmesan 2 ways. Chicken Parmesan in the air fryer and chicken Parmesan in the pressure cooker. So now I'm not going to speak specifically to any brands. I think a brand choice is a very personal choice, and I highly recommend that you go to the store or read reviews online about them. I also highly recommend that if you were to buy one that is available in the store, go check it out at the store, because sometimes that they are a little bit different in person. So I personally have 2 Pampered Chef products, Pampered Chef Deluxe Air Fryer and Pampered Chef Quick Cooker, because my side job is with Pampered Chef, so I do have those products. But I've personally used a GoWise air fryer, which you can get on Amazon. And I've also used a Instant Pot. So they're all basically the same. They basically are air fryers and pressure cookers, just under different brands. So I can try to answer questions about different brands as we go along, but I have not used all of them. But I am definitely here to tell you about them and how they're used, and how you can go about using them in your everyday life, because these are definitely 2 power tools that my family absolutely loves. I just used the air fryer tonight for sweet potato fries for the dinner that I made for dinner. For the meal I made for dinner for my family. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. If you want to pull up your notes, we are going to be starting with the air fryer. And the reason we're starting with that one is because the recipe takes a little longer to cook. So I want to make sure we get that actually in the air fryer before we start our pressure cooker one, because our pressure cooker takes a little bit less time. Feel free to utilize the chat for any questions. I will try to monitor that. Valerie also monitors that for me as well, in case something comes up during cooking, or you can hold a question to the end as well. Okay, so air fryers. Oh my goodness. Air fryers have really started to hit the market and are a really great power tool to have in your kitchen. They can do lots of things. Don't let the air frying name confuse you. It's not just for fried foods. Yes, we are making chicken Parmesan tonight, but I want to show you how easy it is to make in there, and it only takes 18 minutes to make the whole thing. So how do air fryers actually work? Air fryers are actually mini convection ovens. Now, if you're not familiar with a convection oven, some of us have those settings on our current ovens. Like I have a convection setting on my oven that I use primarily for roasts and baking. But air fryers, that is the only setting they have, is a convection setting. A conventional oven, which all of us have because that's the original setting of an oven, means what's going to happen is you're going to set your oven, say, for 350 degrees, because you're cooking something in the oven at 350 degrees. When your oven preheats, it's going to bring up that temperature to 350 degrees, and then it's going to go above by like 7 to 10 degrees. Then when that goes to that point, it signals to turn off, and you'll hear your oven turn off, and it'll fall back down to like, 7 to 10 degrees below the 350. And then the oven will kick back on and it'll come back up, and you kind of have this rise and fall of temperature the whole time you're cooking. That's conventional. That's how all of our ovens are built, with the thermostat inside of there. Convection settings means your oven is constantly running on a fan, and it's going to keep a constant temperature over your food. So if you set it for 350 degrees, it is going to rotate heat at 350 degrees the whole time it's cooking, and your oven will never turn off. Okay. That's why it's really good for baking, because you're going to have a constant heat wrapped around your baked good. It's great for roasting because you're going to have that constant heat rotating around whatever you're roasting. Air fryers are convection ovens in miniature form. Okay. So what they do is they have a heating element. Typically, the heating element is at the top here, and it'll heat from the top to the bottom. Okay. Whereas toaster ovens, if you have a toaster oven, the toaster oven is actually on the sides of your toaster oven. But air fryers replace toaster ovens. So I actually make toast in mine. I don't even have a toaster anymore. I make toast in my air fryer. 4 minutes, that's it. Toast every morning. So it's going to go from top bottom. So that's what's kind of cool, is you can actually crisp up foods if you put your racks closer to the heating element, or if you want to drop them down a little bit because you don't want them as toasty, you can drop them down, or you can rotate your trays. So I actually make frozen pizza in the air fryer. I take a half a frozen pizza, cut that half in half. I cook one half on the top, one half on the bottom at the midway point, which is 10 minutes total. So at the 5-minute point, I rotate the trays to make sure that both sides are crispy. Now, their air fryers can do, let's see, it does not have trays, but only a basic. Am I limited to what I can make? No, you're not limited to what you can make, but your techniques might just have to be a little bit different. My original air fryer was a Go Wise. The Go Wise one was a drawer. Okay. Yeah. So a basket instead of shelves. That's totally fine. You actually can elevate your food into pans. So you can have actually what comes in a pressure cooker. Let me see if I have it down here. I don't think I do. What comes in a pressure cooker looks kind of like a pizza table, and then you can elevate food up. So if you have a drawer one, anything that fits in your air fryer that's compatible with your oven can go in an air fryer. So all of my like aluminum like coated pans, I can put in my air fryer as long as they fit in my air fryer. So if you have a drawer model, not a door model, you can elevate it on the rack that, say, a pressure cooker has, and elevate it up closer to that heating element. So no, you're not limited. Your techniques are just going to be a little bit different. Okay. So where was I going with this? So this is the door model. I like this model because it holds more food. Okay. So this one, I have a family of 4. I work from home, my husband works from home, and we homeschool my 2 kids. So we are all home all day, every day. So we are crazy busy all the time, and our air fryer gets lots of use. And so we need lots of space in it to cook for a family of 4. And we like leftovers. So I like to be able to cook even more than we need. Last night we actually made chicken satay, which I don't know if you've ever had, but it's delicious, and it's kebab chicken. This model comes with a rotisserie that we put the chicken on. So this one is more sophisticated than a drawer model because you might have a rotisserie, you might not have a dehydrate feature, things like that. But the drawer model will still do all the basic convection oven things that you need it to do. Okay. So let's dig into that a little bit. I have a couple of pointers right off the bat that I want you to write down because I don't want to have you forget about them. Is if you are taking something that is normally frozen food that goes in the oven and you find oven directions on the back, you want to make sure that you reduce the temperature by 25 degrees for your air fryer. So if you're cooking it in your oven at 400 or 425, reduce it by 25 degrees for your air fryer. Okay. And most air fryers have a temperature setting on them. Also reduce your cook time by at least 20%. Okay. So reduce it by 25 degrees and 20% cook time based on what the recipe says or what your packaged food ingredient says for oven cooking. Okay. Now, a lot of packaged food actually comes with air fryer instructions on it now. But if it doesn't, though, that's your quick tip for that. Okay. This guy replaces an oven, a toaster oven, a deep fryer. It can also replace a rotisserie, a dehydrating, and a grill. Yes, this is for frozen food or just a typical recipe you'd make in the oven that you want to use in your air fryer instead. Remember, your air fryer is just a mini oven. So if you have a piece of chicken, which you're going to see me cook in the air fryer tonight, that you normally would cook in the oven for 30 minutes at 400 degrees, you're going to reduce that by 20% cook time and 25 degrees. Okay, so you're going to see me do that just shortly. Like I said, this model actually has a dehydrator and a rotisserie. If yours doesn't have that, it's just a couple of features that you might not need. I personally really like them because we like to make rotisserie chickens and make the kebabs and whatnot. It also, rotisserie is really awesome to put fries in there and it rotates the fries. So that's really cool too. But otherwise, normally it replaces an oven, a toaster, toaster oven, a deep fryer, and a grill. Those are normally the things that it replaces. Hang on one second. I saw one more question pop up. Fresh and frozen food, yes, because remember, this is a convection oven, so you're going to reduce the time because you're going to have constant heat over it. So my chicken, my Parmesan chicken would normally be in the oven for probably at least 25 to 30 minutes. It's only going to take 18 minutes in the air fryer, okay? And we're going to normally cook it at 425 degrees in the oven. It's only going to cook at 400 degrees in the air fryer, okay? Because again, it's a contained space. Doesn't have to be preheated, contained space, and it's constantly rotating heat. So fresher frozen food, 20% less cook time, 25 degrees less in temperature, okay? So let me talk to you a little bit about this recipe because I do want to get this chicken in the air fryer for you guys. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make some just classic chicken Parmesan, but instead of frying it on the stovetop in oil or baking it in the oven, we're actually going to get best of both worlds by baking it in the air fryer. But with that high rotating heat around it, it's going to crisp up the outside of our chicken Parmesan differently than if we just oven baked it, okay? So I have one piece of chicken. I'm just going to make a small version of the recipe that I gave you today. I have one large chicken breast. This is a huge chicken breast. This would not take 18 minutes in the air fryer. This would take much longer in the air fryer because it's so thick, just like it would take longer on any other cook surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to butterfly it. And I do have this really, really handy tool that I love using and won't use any other way. I actually put it between, it's called the close and cut. And I put it between two spring plates and I'm able to have the chicken without touching the chicken and without cutting my hands. So now I have two manageable pieces of chicken instead of one giant chicken breast, okay? We're gonna make this super classic way. Let me just rinse my hands real quick. With our flour dredge, with our egg wash, and with our panko breadcrumbs. And it's gonna go in the air fryer on air fry setting, which is typically 400 degrees for 18 minutes. Now, in addition to this recipe, you can also roast some tomatoes in your air fryer at the same time, depending on how many servings you're making. In this recipe that I gave you guys too is actually something you serve it with cheese tortellini, which I love switching up things like that. Like who says it just needs to be classic spaghetti? I love that it kind of was a different take on a chicken Parmesan. Chicken Parmesan is totally an American invention. It is not something you'd traditionally find in Italy. Typically they have baked chicken instead of kind of a deep fried chicken, but this is totally an American take on an Italian inspiration, I should say, okay? So I have just a couple of dredging bowls and plates here. And what I'm gonna do, if you don't know the dredging model, you have flour, you have egg, and you have panko. The cutting dish that I have is called the Close and Cut, and it's by Pampered Chef. It's probably the best one that I've seen because I can do the whole pieces of chicken breast like that. It's not just reduced to just like bagel cutting or English muffin cutting. It's great for the chicken, and it's great for like cherry tomatoes or grapes or something like that too, okay? Let me grab my salt and pepper. I did forget it over here. I'm just gonna season this really quickly with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then we're gonna dredge it in flour, which kind of gives us that bready coating. We're gonna dredge it in egg and milk, so it's an egg wash, and then our panko breadcrumbs. Panko breadcrumbs are actually super interesting compared to like an Italian breadcrumb. Panko breadcrumbs are actually a crustless bread, which is why they are so crunchy and crispy. There's no crust in them that like grinds up. It's a crustless bread. So panko breadcrumbs are super great to use in breading recipes for the air fryer because it automatically gives you a crunch that your body craves, okay? So my recommendation when you do dredging is to use a dry hand and a wet hand, okay? So you're only using, so like my right hand, I'll put in the dry ingredient, and then my wet hand will be my other hand, and that'll touch it when it's in the egg mixture. That way I don't end up with super like thick breading fingers by the end of all of this. So that hand goes out of the way. Sometimes I use tongs too. So I'm gonna dredge it in a little bit of the egg, make sure it's completely coated, and then I'm gonna throw it over into the panko. Now, with air frying, I love it because you can produce a lot of real food in here. This isn't just about the frozen foods. I roast vegetables in here. I'm making the homemade Parmesan chicken in here. You can grill meats in here. You can do homemade French fries. You can do, oh my gosh, just endless amounts of things. Plus, honestly, it makes really good frozen food too. So I know, especially having kids, my kids really, really like chicken nuggets. You know, it's like, who doesn't like chicken nuggets, right? So they can easily, for lunch, at our lunch break, they can come over to the air fryer and throw some chicken nuggets in there, and grab some other things from the fridge to fulfill their lunch quota for mom, you know, because still the lunch lady and the teacher and all the things with homeschool. And they can just set it and forget it, which is another great thing about air frying. It turns off when it's done baking. So if I set it for 18 minutes, it will go off at 18 minutes. There also is no preheating. You literally put it in there cold, okay? We don't use a microwave for the nuggets because then they're not crispy. So we do nuggets for 8 to 10 minutes in the air fryer. And then you have that nice crispy breading on the outside of there instead of kind of the mushy breading from microwaving them, okay? I mean, you totally can microwave them, but air frying is definitely just a little bit more satisfying because it gives you that nice crunchy flavor without having to worry about long cook times in the oven, okay? So set it and forget it. Also, less fat frying. You're not gonna see me use any oil in this recipe. Actually, this one, let's make sure. This one, you can spray it with like a little bit of Pam spray or olive oil spray or kitchen spritzer if you have it, if you want, but it's not needed. It's gonna crisp up really nicely all by itself in the air fryer. So there's no oil to this. I'm not adding any oil to this, and I'm still gonna get the same result as if I pan fried it on the stove top. So less fat when you're using an air fryer. Let me move these bowls out of the way so I can open this up and get this in there for us. I'm gonna pull out my rack here, and it's gonna cook for 18 minutes. We do not, if I did have 2 trays of chicken in here, I would rotate the trays at the halfway point. But since I only have 1 tray of chicken in here, I'm actually gonna put it at my middle level. There we go. I couldn't find the other side. My middle level. And I'm just gonna let it cook for 18 minutes. Now I do still check the temperature, make sure it's 165 degrees. And then what we'll do too is you can add some fresh mozzarella to it, put it back in there for another 2 minutes and let the mozzarella cook over the top of it, and then serve it with that tortellini, okay? So what we're gonna do is just close that up. I'm gonna be able to switch it to the air fry setting, 18 minutes, and that's it. Now this does generate heat. It is a mini oven, so it will generate heat. So when I do cook with it, I do tend to pull it away from the wall. I do keep it set on my counter because we do use it so often, like for toast, for chicken nuggets, for some of our dinners, like I made like the sweet potato fries and whatnot. But I do pull it away from the wall. Also, it's recommended for most air fryers that you do not keep them plugged in because they do generate a lot of power. It is a small appliance, and so you should be unplugging them between uses as well, okay? So I love it. I never had to turn on the stove, so I know it's winter, and right now, it's nice to warm up the kitchen sometimes, but in the summertime, it is amazing not having to turn the oven on and be able to use the air fryer instead, okay? Very minimal mess too. Most air fryers have dishwasher safe pieces to them. So like the racks in this one are dishwasher safe, and I can completely wipe it clean. If you have a drawer model, most of the times the basket is removable, or you can wash it in the sink. So they're very, very easy to clean, okay? Also super fast, great for meals for kids. And it's also ideal for empty nesters, people that, or newly married couples, or people that, just are just the two of them. Because you can make really quick meals without having to worry about turning on all the stove and the oven and the grill and all the things to make something for yourself for dinner. Okay. Frees up your oven space, and it gives you consistent results because it's a convection oven. And like I said, it spins that constant air over it. It's going to always give you those really nice, consistent results. Okay. Let me double check the chat. And I think there's Q&A as well. Can you reheat leftovers in the air fryer too, like pizza? Absolutely. I was always that person that did not bring home French fries from a restaurant because you can't like reheat French fries. Now you can in an air fryer. And actually, I feel like they're almost better than when you get them at the restaurant. You can also bake in the air fryer. So like this is an air fry setting. All the air fry setting is a 400-degree setting. If I were to set it to bake, it would be a 350 setting. My roast is a 375 degree. So yes, absolutely you can bake. You can use the baking temperature, and you can make cookies, you can make cakes, you can make mini pies. Actually, that was one other thing I was possibly gonna show you guys tonight, was to make mini hand pies that come together in just 12 minutes. Super, super easy with pie crust that you cut in a circle, fill it with some apple pie or cherry pie filling, seal them up, throw them in the air fryer for 12 minutes, and you have mini pies, homemade mini pies. How crazy is that? So yes, you can absolutely bake in an air fryer. You can absolutely roast. You can reheat foods in an air fryer. And like I said, it does taste better than sometimes the first time around. I did see a question about preheat, but I missed it. Do I have to preheat the air fryer in order to bake? Nope. It goes right away. It's such a small contained space, and it heats up so quickly, there is no need to preheat. Plus, you're cooking on that convection setting, so once it really gets going, it's spinning that hot heat instantaneously, okay? So no preheating necessary. I know, especially with the two models I've used, the Go Wise and the Pampered Chef, neither one of those needed preheating, nor was there like a preheat setting, like the ability to preheat on it as well, okay? Let me give you a couple of do's and don'ts, and then we're gonna go on to the pressure cooker because we can get that recipe going while the air fryer is cooking. So I'm just gonna pull this guy back a little bit. All right, so a couple of do's. Make sure if you have a basket air fryer and your protein is sitting on the bottom, make sure that you're flipping your protein halfway through. So it's just kind of like grilling. Like you wouldn't leave your meat just grill side down the whole time. You would flip it because you want it charred on both sides, right? Well, since this cooks from the top to the bottom, you want to make sure that you're flipping your proteins. If I had 2 trays in here, I'd flip the trays halfway through because again, I want the heat element to hit both of those trays of food, okay? If you're gonna be making like roasted vegetables or something like that in yours, make sure you do everything in a bowl outside of your air fryer before you add it to your air fryer. So toss your your vegetables in a little bit of olive oil, spritz them with a little olive oil, put all your seasonings on them, coat them real well before you put them in the air fryer, okay? The air fryers are not meant to have like spray directly inside of them. That actually will leave a really sticky residue on the inside of your air fryers. Actually, you're not even supposed to use cooking spray on cookware. That's what leaves them all gunked up. You're supposed to spray the food, not the pan. Crazy. If you're using butter or oil, that's different. But those sprays, those vegetable sprays and those pan sprays, spray the food, not the pan. Okay. To roast vegetables, just use the roast setting and how long. Does it depend on the type of vegetable? It does depend on the type of vegetable. If you do have a roast setting, it would be 375, and it depends on what the vegetable is. If it's something like really, really hearty, like a squash or a sweet potato, you're going to be roasting them longer. If it's broccoli, it's going to be shorter. So a lot of the times your air fryers will come with a cooking guide, or you can easily Google suggested cooking times for roasting in the air fryer. Okay, but the roast setting is 375 degrees. That's the only setting. It's a preset temperature setting. Okay. If you are doing meat in the air fryer or fresh vegetables that you are not tossing in olive oil, make sure you pat it dry before you add it to your air fryer. Air fryers do not like wet food, and it won't caramelize and it won't create that nice crispy crust on there that we like. So meat, if it's not being breaded, pat it dry. Vegetables, fresh vegetables, if you wash them and then want to roast them, make sure you pat those dry as well, okay? If you're doing pastry in the air fryer, like the mini hand pies I was telling you about, do a little bit of egg wash on the top because it'll give it a nice golden brown crust, okay? Let's see. Oh, if you're doing meat with skin, like a chicken, make sure you always do skin side up. It'll melt over the top and give you a nice crispy brown skin on the top as well. If you are doing fish, and especially if you have one of the basket air fryers, put your fish in like a foil sling or a air fryer safe pan, okay? Because it'll, usually the basket ones have holes in the bottom of the basket and the fish will fall right through, and you don't want that to happen. So foil sling, what I mean by that is taking a piece of foil and actually creating like a hammock out of it so your fish can sit in there, so when it's done you can pull it straight out of the basket, okay? So use a foil sling for fish. Those are a couple of my do's. A couple of my don'ts. Avoid overfilling. If you overfill, remember this is a very small space to heat, so if you overfill it, chances are you're going to have uneven, not cooked spots. If it's packed too tightly, you're going to have some that are overcooked and some that aren't cooked enough, okay? So sometimes it's like a jigsaw puzzle, especially if I do like homemade fried shrimp. My son absolutely loves it and can eat like a pound of it all by himself. He's 7, by the way. He will, I kind of jigsaw the pieces together so I can fit as much as I can without overcrowding it. And then cut larger foods down if you need to, like I did with the chicken, okay? Like that was way too big to put in there. It would have taken way longer than we would have liked, so I cut it in half. Like I said, don't spray your nonstick directly in your basket, and then no wet batters or coatings, okay? So like no beer batter, no like trying to make funnel cakes, like that. There's no replacement for deep fried foods, okay, in that sense. But fried foods with a dry batter, like you saw with the dredging, the flour, the egg, and then the panko breadcrumbs, totally perfect for an air fryer. If you try to use a wet batter, it'll just drip right off and just gonna have batter everywhere, okay? It'll be all on the bottom of your air fryer instead of still on your food, okay? So no wet batters. So any other questions on the air fryer? I know I talked a little bit quick, but I wanna make sure I get to both recipes. So my air fryer just beeped at me at the 9-minute mark, which means, hey, it's come rotate my trays if you need to. So if I had 2 trays in there with food on both, I would go rotate them at this point. I don't, so I'm just gonna leave it alone and let it finish cooking, okay? Have you ever cooked, sorry, I'm opening it up. Beignets, mine did not rise in the air fryer. So I've never personally cooked beignets. That is something I'd have to look into. That's a good question. Raw potatoes to make French fries. I have a trick for you. Bake them first, then air fry them. If you try to air fry them right away, if the heat is too high and it's not going to bake through the French fry, they're not going to turn out like frozen fries. Okay, those are like processed and coated and stuff. Raw potatoes, you're going to bake them for a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes. Then you're going to turn the bake setting off and bump it up to air fry. That's when it'll crisp the outside for you. So you want to really get a good bake on them. They take longer than a frozen French fry. So frozen French fries take only like 10 to 12 minutes. Homemade French fries, depending on how thick your slices are going to take, let's see, probably about a half an hour. About 10 minutes on bake and about 20 minutes on air fry. So bake them first, then air fry them. That is the only way that I do them. And once I learned that tip, my French fries turn out way better. But the beignet thing, I'll have to come back to. I've never personally baked those. I'm more of a cook than I am a baker. So I can definitely get back to you on that to see if there's any good troubleshooting tips I can come up with for you. Okay. So you guys have all these notes. You guys have the recipe. If there's anything else that comes up at the end, we'll scoot back around to that. Otherwise, I'm going to clean up my area really quick, and then we're going to get to some fresher cooking. The French fry tip, 10 minutes on bake, then about 20 minutes on air fry. So you're going to bake them first at 350 degrees in your air fryer, When that is done, you're going to set it to air fry, and you're going to air fry for at least 20 minutes. And that's give or take. You might need to do it a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how many you're making, how thick your cuts are, things like that. But that's the overall idea of French fries. Okay. Let me just move some of this stuff over, wash my hands real quick because I'm sitting with dredging material on my fingers. And then we'll move over to the pressure cooker. And we're gonna make a one-pot chicken Parmesan in the pressure cooker. So we kind of have a little bit more classic, that American, Italian-American chicken Parmesan that we all know and love. And then the other one, we're gonna make a one-pot chicken Parmesan, which my family absolutely loves. When we went to Colorado last summer to visit my sister-in-law has a pressure cooker, and we had been on the road for 2 days driving out there, and my family wanted me to make that one pot chicken Parmesan just as like a home cooked meal, something to enjoy since we've been on the road for a couple days. All right. So pressure cookers, lots of people are intimidated by, but you shouldn't be, because they're such a helpful kitchen tool. Pressure cookers literally cook by pressure. Okay. So when you use them, it gives you a very fast result. It's more hands-off cooking, and it is great for multitasking. Okay. So pressure cooking is great for those people who don't plan or forget to plan. So it also does frozen foods. So it can do frozen meats. And there are different guides in your pressure cookers that tell you how much time you need to add to do frozen, but it's completely safe to do frozen foods. Unlike a slow cooker, it's actually not safe to do frozen foods in a slow cooker. So if you forget to plan or don't plan, the pressure cooker is the right tool for you. Okay. So how does it work? As the temperature inside the pot increases, it builds steam. Now, steam is actually increases the pressure inside the vessel, and it shortens our cooking time. Steam is actually hotter than boiling water. So it actually becomes above the boiling point when you're pressure cooking, which is, I think, why people are so afraid of it. Now, keep in mind, electric pressure cookers are made by companies that don't want to be sued. So they're going to add a lot of different safety measures to their pressure cookers to make sure that people are safe when using them, and they're not going to be exploding on stovetops. Okay. So pressure cookers, by cooking quickly like this, just like microwave cooking, it actually locks in flavor and preserves nutrients. I don't know if you knew this, but the less you cook food, the more nutrients that stay in the food. So that's why I'm a big proponent of microwave cooking, like steaming vegetables in the microwave versus boiling them in a pot on a stove, or pressure cooking, because again, it cooks it so quickly that you're going to preserve the nutrients, and it's going to build your flavor. So you don't have to use as many spices in pressure cooking as well. Like I said, it's great for people who don't plan or forget to plan. You can do a variety of foods in here. Like I said, we're doing a one-pot chicken Parmesan, which we're actually going to be doing pasta in our pressure cooker. But you can do oatmeal, you can do soups and stews, you can do roasts and potatoes, you can do even desserts. Like I've done cheesecake in here with a springform pan that fits inside of here. Never ever will I bake it in the oven again. It is just hands-off cooking that you don't have to really worry about. Okay, so some pressure do's. Read the instruction manual. Every pressure cooker is a little bit different, okay? And Instant Pot is a pressure cooker. It's just, that's the brand of the pressure cooker. This one is called the Quick Cooker. It's the brand, the Pampered Chef brand. So if you hear Instant Pot, it's literally like somebody calling a facial tissue a Kleenex. Everyone calls it Kleenex because that's the brand recognition, just like Instant Pot, okay? But reading the manual is one of the most important things to do before you start pressure cooking, because like I said, everyone is a little bit different. It has its own set of instructions you need to follow. There's also different safety features on every set of pressure cooker. So you need to know like where the steam release valve is. You need to know where that button is located. You need to know where to touch on the body if that gets hot or not. So definitely read your manual on your pressure cooker. I did see a Q&A pop up, so let me see if I can jump into that. Yes, there should be a handout for the pressure cooker. So I'm sure Valerie can help us with that. But yes, there is a handout for the pressure cooker as well. The other thing with pressure cooking is make sure you're adding liquid. I know when I slow cook, I don't really add liquid to my slow cooker because there's just natural juices that come out of the meats that, you know, that slow cook in it. It's such a slow evaporation process. If you don't add liquid to a pressure cooker, it literally has nothing to come to pressure inside of your container, inside your pressure cooker. So you have to make sure you add at least a cup of liquid unless the recipe states otherwise. When I use my pressure cooker, I don't often go off script like I do when I'm like cooking on the stovetop. I usually follow whatever recipe I find. And I also don't go off the cuff too much when I'm playing with my pressure cooker. Okay. So you have to make sure you add enough liquid so that the steam is created. Start with easy recipes like the one I'm going to show you. Pressure cooking can be intimidating because there are a lot of buttons and valves. So it's smart to start off with something that's easy, that you're comfortable with, and you understand the cooking method of. So once you feel more confident, then you can start experimenting and having more advanced recipes. Like I could do a pressure cooker 201 class and show you how to do pot cooking and cheesecakes and all that kind of crazy stuff. But we're literally just going to make sure that we start with one pot cooking tonight. Okay. You can also use pressure cookers to build flavors since the pressure cooker locks in the flavors and helps maintain the texture of food. I know my husband hates slow cookers often because he says everything just tastes the same. That's not the case in pressure cooking. You can use the inner pot to saute meat and veggies before you actually close it up and lock it up and steam it, which is actually what we're going to do right now. I cut up a bunch of bite-sized pieces of chicken. I'm going to set my pressure cooker to sear, which this becomes then like a hot plate inside of here. So it's going to warm up just like a hot plate as if I were cooking this on the stove, except it's in my pressure cooker. And I'm going to start warming this up with a little bit of oil. I already cut up my chicken for this. They're bite-sized pieces of chicken tenders, and we're actually going to brown our chicken before we start adding all the other ingredients. Not only is it going to taste really good, but it'll give our chicken a head start before we add our pasta and our sauce to this as well. You can also make side dishes and desserts in the pressure cooker. So this is a great way, you know, at a holiday, you have to make, 5 pounds of mashed potatoes and you don't want to put it on your stove because you got other things going on. Cook them in here. Okay. So you can cook them in here in just about 10 minutes and you can actually mash them right in here and have mashed potatoes right in your pressure cooker. So a pressure cooker is a great thing to have for side dishes or extra desserts as well, which, like I said, that's more 201, but we can definitely come back and do one of those eventually, right, Valerie? All right. So this is preheating. I'm going to season my chicken with a little bit of garlic rub and a little bit of Italian seasonings. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the inner pot and it's going to sear. It's going to brown just like as if I were doing it on the stove. And what I love about the pressure cooker, especially having a young family, I don't feel bad if my kids are doing some homeschool work at my counter while I'm cooking dinner and this is going on because it's not hot to the touch on the outside. And I can stand with them right at the island and work on something with them while I'm cooking up some chicken. So I seasoned it, like I said, with a little bit of garlic and Italian seasoning, things that normally I have in my cabinet. I don't know if you hear that. I can hear it on my microphone. I have my AirPods in. It's already starting to sizzle. This is a 6-quart inner pot. When you do pressure cook, you don't want to overfill it, just like with air frying. If you overfill it, it will sputter out and it won't come to pressure the right way. So you want to make sure that you only fill it about 2/3 of the way full. I'm going to move you guys because you're on a tripod and I want to show you guys what the inside of this looks like. So let me raise you up here and see if I can get you over the top of this a little bit better. There we go. So that's what it looks like inside. Pretty straightforward, right? So the chicken is searing in a little bit of olive oil and we're just gonna brown it. This inner pot is removable. That's where the heating element is. And it's dishwasher safe because it's stainless steel. All pressure cookers are like that. So we're just gonna brown this for about 5 minutes. And while we're browning that, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about some pressure cooking don'ts, okay? Don't open the pressure cooker while it's cooking. Ah, that would be so bad. Don't do that. Because not only could you injure yourself, but you will also ruin your meal because all that pressure's got to go somewhere. Now, most modern electric pressure cookers make it impossible for somebody to open it, but things do happen. Don't attempt to open it while it's under pressure. Actually, on mine, you'll notice that I have this really I have this little, I call it my turkey popper. And it's a little indicator button that actually pops up when it's under pressure. Say you forgot to add an ingredient, it's already under pressure, or you need to leave the house in a rush and you don't want to leave the pressure cooker on, which I've totally done, and you can do that. Then all you would do, instead of opening the pressure cooker or unplugging it or anything like that, just press the steam release button, cancel the cooking and press the steam release button. It'll release all the steam safely and in a controlled manner, and you can walk away from it then if you need to, okay? Don't release the pressure before it's time, unless of course you really have to. Like I said, pressure cooker recipes is not often something I stray from, okay? They often are things that I don't go off script for. There are two options when releasing the pressure. There is a manual release and a natural release, and you're gonna see those in recipes. A manual release means when you're done cooking, so you set this, say, for 9 minutes. When it's done cooking, you're gonna hit cancel, and you're gonna press that steam release button, and all of that steam will come billowing out of the steam release valve, okay? The other method is called a natural release. A natural release means that after, say, 9 minutes, your pressure cooker will stop cooking. It'll stop holding it under pressure. And for usually 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it'll say to natural release, which means that it's not going to build any more pressure in there with the liquid and the steam. So it's just going to come down on its own. And then you can release whatever is left over after the 10 or 15 minute natural release. The reason that this is in recipes is because it's called residual cooking. A lot of the times you'll see that in roast recipes or longer cooking foods, because it just needs a little bit extra time, but not necessarily under pressure cooking time. So you're gonna have a manual release or a natural release, okay? So our chicken is getting nice and browned. You can see how hot this gets, right? I mean, this really does a good job cooking up this chicken. The chicken does not have to be cooked all the way through. What we're just trying to do here is just to start to give it a head start and create some brown bits on the outside of the chicken, because our body loves those brown bits. They're just what our body craves. That's why we like fried food so much, okay? Like I said earlier, don't overfill the pressure cooker. The pressure cooker isn't meant to be filled all the way. If you happen to overfill it, like maybe a soup or something like that, when you release the pressure, it will literally come sputtering out of your pressure release valve. So just be very careful about how much you're filling your pressure cooker. All right, at this point, what I'm gonna do, the chicken is, like I said, not cooked all the way, but it's got a good head start. So I'm going to actually add our pasta. I'm gonna add about 2 cups of pasta here. Just some penny pasta, which isn't quite a whole box. I'm gonna add a jar of marinara sauce. And then our recipe, you would think this would be the liquid, but our recipe actually wants a little bit of water too, because our pasta needs a little bit extra to soak up. So a jar of pasta sauce. Throw that away. And then a cup of water that we're gonna add as well. All right, and we're gonna turn off the sear. Doing it backwards here. Give this a little stir. And guess what? We're gonna set this for just 5 minutes. Isn't that crazy? Now, when you set something for 5 minutes, does that mean it's gonna be done in 5 minutes? No, because your pressure cooker still has to come up to pressure. Coming up to pressure does take 5 to 10 minutes, and then you have your 5-minute cook time. So this recipe is gonna take about 10 minutes before we release the cooking, before we release it in the manual release setting, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here. All right, I love this guy. I love how he talks to me. We call him R2D2. I'm gonna just set on this one, again, read your manual on how to set a custom time. On mine, I just hit custom, I hit time, and then I'm gonna set it to 5 minutes, okay? Everyone is a little bit different. And then I'm just gonna hit start. I'm also gonna make sure that all of my seals are how they should be according to the manual. So like this button isn't depressed. This seam release here is level with this part. My turkey popper isn't elevated, which means my seals are correct on the inside as well, okay? So just make sure everything is correct before you walk away from it, okay? So about 5 minutes to come to pressure and about 5 minutes of cook time, then a manual release on this, okay? I have 2 more tips for you for the pressure cooker. And then our air fryer is done. So also don't add thickeners to your pressure cooker. So don't add like the cornstarch or um, any different kind of flours or anything like that to thicken it. Pressure cookers work off steam pulled from the liquid inside the pot. So we don't want extra thickeners put in there right away, like roux and cornstarch, like I said. When you cook a thick sauce, soup, or stew, adding a thickener too can have a negative effect on the way it cooks because less steam is released from a thicker liquid, which is why when we added the jar of pasta sauce, we added a little bit of water to help out that pasta and create that real steam that we need, okay? Lastly, don't give up after a bad experience. If it doesn't go your way the first time, try again. Cooking takes practice, okay? And getting to know a new vessel also takes practice. Also, you have my phone number and my website, which has my email address. You can feel free to message me and I'd be happy to help you troubleshoot, okay? Now, there is going to be some times where maybe you have a dud pressure cooker. I mean, I have come across that with clients before. Most times, though, it's a simple fix, and it's just because you're getting to know the vessel. So don't give up after a bad experience. Find how you can use this for your cooking routine and what recipes you like to use in it. Okay, so pressure cooking questions. I don't think I missed anybody. I found food sticks to the bottom of my Instant Pot ideas. So I would add some extra oil to your cooking. And is it food that sticks during the pressure cooking process, or is it food that sticks during the searing process? That I can clarify as well. You also might not be adding enough liquid. So I would definitely double check your recipes. Searing, yeah, for sure. Just add a little bit more oil. I mean, if I would have showed it to you, my chicken was slightly sticking to the bottom. It is a stainless steel inner pot, which means it isn't non-stick. It will stick if you don't have enough fat to keep it off of the bottom. If it's sticking during pressure cooking, then there's not enough liquid in there. And that will completely burn to the bottom then. So if I didn't add like that extra water or a whole can of or a whole jar of pasta sauce, my chicken and my noodles would be completely burned to the bottom. So you want to make sure you have enough cooking fat when you're searing and enough cooking liquid when you're pressure cooking. Okay. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Sorry about my fat fingers in the way. Oh, boiled eggs. That is such a good question. I will not boil eggs on my stovetop anymore now that I have a pressure cooker. I do 12 minutes custom setting with a manual release for boiled eggs. And I do usually 6 to 8 for like just like a normal week, up to like 24. I actually have an accessory for the inside of my pressure cooker that stacks eggs on top of each other. 12 minutes regardless. It's just going to take a little bit longer to come to pressure. That's the other thing I wanted to point out. If you were doubling this recipe, say you wanted to add more pasta or more chicken to this, you wouldn't increase the cooking time. The pressure cooker actually will just take longer to come to pressure because there's more volume inside of there. And you don't need to increase the cooking time, but it will take longer to come to pressure. So the cooking time might seem longer, but you're not adjusting the cooking time. The only time you're going to adjust the cooking time is if you're doing a frozen food in here. So if you wouldn't try to sear frozen chicken. You would actually probably cook it a little bit in the on a custom setting before you add it to your one pot chicken Parmesan. So that is kind of a different story. But if you were to be cooking a frozen protein, you would add additional time. Usually it's anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on what protein it is and how much of it is there. And that again should be in your pressure cooker settings. Back to the boiled eggs. Boiled eggs, 12 minutes, manual release. Biggest trick, right into an ice bath because you want to stop the cooking process. They will peel perfectly. It's actually because they cook so quickly in the pressure cooker that they don't have the egg membrane doesn't have time to stick to the actual egg. So it peels beautifully, but right into an ice bath. Cool them down, stop the cooking process. They'll be the best boiled eggs every single time. Okay, so that's a very good point. I always forget to bring that up, and I love boiled eggs in the pressure cooker. All right, any other questions? Hope I look like I cleared those out. All right, so our air fryer over here is done. So I'm gonna pull it forward and let you guys see. So that was 18 minutes and I was talking for a little bit, so I just sat. But do you notice how it just turned off? Like I didn't have to worry about like running over and turning off the oven or anything like that. It's just off. I'm gonna open this up. Oh my gosh, can you guys see how brown those are? I didn't add any oil. You guys, I didn't add any oil to this. Let me get my handy dandy little oven mitts here. Hello, chicken Parmesan. Is this not beautiful or what? So then in addition to this, I would take some fresh mozzarella or some shredded mozzarella. I would put it on top of here, put it back in for another 2 minutes and let that melt and then serve it with whatever pasta you want. I, like I said, love the recipe that I gave you guys because it is just a different version, serving it with the tortellini and the roasted tomatoes. But holy cow, look at that chicken Parmesan. Like, doesn't it look amazing? How good does that air fryer do? So good. I did see a question pop up. Do you have experience with the Instant Pot Duo Crisp with the air fryer lid? Can't find recipes. So I personally don't. Like I've never personally used it. I've used just the Instant Pot. The only thing I can say about the ones with the interchangeable lids is it's often just for crisping purposes. Like it's not a real air fryer. And so it would be something that you would maybe like broil. Like it's almost considered like a broiler that you'd put on top of it. I know some people that swear by it. It just fits their cooking needs and styles. But it's not my style. I like having my air fryer do its job. I like my pressure cooker doing its job. If you're low on space, I definitely would look into smaller models of both of them. Just like I said, because that fits just my cooking style a little bit more. The recipes for it, I could say that you probably wouldn't find too many recipes for it because it is a niche in that brand. So I would go to their website or maybe to their forums or Facebook groups to try to find recipes that fit with the Duo Crisp. Can I put spaghetti sauce on the chicken Parmesan before adding mozzarella and put in the air fryer? Yes, absolutely you can. Again, it just be 2 minutes. So you can do a little bit of pasta sauce, a little bit of the cheese on top. Mine has a, I don't know if you noticed on the very, very bottom here, I'll take this tray out. I have a drip tray on the bottom. So I never worry about it hitting the bottom of my air fryer. And this is washable. So if I had spaghetti sauce on there, you can just definitely, again, it's like a little oven. So anything that you would do in the oven, you really could do in the air fryer. It just is lesser time and less cleanup. Okay, so spaghetti sauce, absolutely. Any other questions, guys? So you can see this guy over here is coming to pressure. My turkey popper just went up. And very soon my front digital read is going to start counting down backwards from 5 because this whole thing is a 5-minute cook time. You absolutely can purchase a closing cut through me. Feel free to reach out. You can text me or visit me on my website and email me. I'm happy to help you with that. Happy to help you with that. I love my closing cut, especially for chicken. Any other questions? I have a bunch of Q&A. 1 second. Oh, bottom of chicken, sure. Let me get my tongs here. Sorry, your questions are in 2 different spots. So the bottom is not as crispy, but if you wanted both sides super crispy, this definitely isn't soggy, but it's not golden brown. All you got to do is flip it over halfway. Like at that 9-minute mark, I could have went over and just flipped the chicken and made it crispy on all sides. This, like I said, isn't soggy on the bottom, but it's not golden brown like it is on top. Okay. Let's see. Send pressure cooker notes too. I only received the air fryer notes. Does the cheese come off easy from the rack in the air fryer? So this rack, yes, they're dishwasher safe. So I just throw them in the dishwasher and I haven't had any issues. I have had like a barbecue sauce kind of residue on mine. Like they wasn't nice and shiny anymore. So I took a little, I have like a little toothbrush style cleaner in my sink. And I just kind of scrubbed it a little bit in there and it got it right off. So these are stainless steel, dishwasher safe. All my dishwashers usually take everything off. They will discolor because it is a thing, something you're cooking on, but you can always shine them back up with Little Barkeeper's Friend if you want. All right. Do you ever use your regular oven? What do you find that you can't do in the pressure cooker or the air fryer? Absolutely. I actually still love doing sheet pan dinners in my oven because sheet pan suppers, air fryer is just not big enough for, especially for a family of 4. You know, I'm cooking a pork loin with potatoes and veggies and all kinds of stuff. So I use my oven a lot for that. I mean, for traditional baking too, my daughter just actually made chocolate chip mini muffins upstairs in our regular oven. I do sometimes do bigger side dishes in the oven, like a casserole, you know, or a lasagna or things like that. So absolutely, I am like kind of a jack of all trades with that kind of stuff. I don't really just use a pressure cooker, just use an air fryer, just use the stovetop. I typically, like my everyday cooking, probably stovetop, air fryer, stovetop and air fryer, to be honest, like everyday cooking. When I make sheet pan meals or bigger baked goods or bigger roasts or something like that, I typically do those in the oven. Pressure cookers, love one pot meals, soups, and chilies in the pressure cooker. That's my favorite in there. Guys are asking such good questions. Bottom of the chicken. Let's see, that was all those. Can you grill a steak? Absolutely, you can grill a steak. So in an air fryer, all you would do is you would actually put it up close to the heating element and you would rotate it halfway through. That's it. So you're gonna get those beautiful brown marks on your steak that you would get and you're gonna flip it over halfway, okay? That's it, super duper easy. I think I had one more on there. Do I prefer silicone gloves over regular oven mitts? And can you get smaller pans for the air fryer? I like the silicone because I can wash them like right in the dishwasher or right in my sink. So I like silicone gloves and I have them in all sizes. I got these little guys. I have like these really little guys. And then I have this big guy. So I have lots of different sizes. I like the silicone ones because I can wash them right in my sink. And yes, you can absolutely get specific accessories for your air fryer. There's, if you go on Amazon, you can get air fryer pans. Keep in mind though, they're not specifically like for an air fryer. They're just the size of an air fryer. You can use any size pan that normally goes in the oven in your air fryer. So I have a couple like toaster oven pans that I can fit in my air fryer. I actually have like a 1 quart cast iron enamel baker that I can fit in here. So anything that goes in your oven, this is an oven, you can put right in your air fryer. You don't need a specific pan per se, besides the size, okay? The Pampered Chef air fryer is actually normally it's $279. It is 25% off this month though for all customers. Like just on the website, it's 25% off. So I think that leaves it at like 201 or something like that. Which is air fryers go from anywhere from like $60 up to $450. So it really depends on the model that you want and what kind of features you want. So this is on sale for around $205 this month, I know, on the website. So that's the deluxe air fryer. I think I saw one more question come through. I think that's it. Make sure I check this one. And we have 3 minutes left on our pressure cooker recipe. So if you guys want to hang out for 3 minutes, I can show you how I release the pressure. If you need to go, I totally understand. You guys have some really amazing questions, and I'm sorry if it went a little bit over an hour, but there were so many wonderful things to talk about. And I promise this is just 101. I could totally go into even more stuff into 201. So thanks guys for hanging out with me tonight. Valerie, totally up to you if you want to hang out for 2 more minutes now that we have on the pressure cooker time. But again, if you guys need to go, I totally understand.
Absolutely. You know, while we're hanging out, I'm going to just go ahead and release a poll I have that we just asked how many people are viewing tonight's program. it usually just takes most of you a second to do. So that'll eat up a few seconds of our
Good,
3 minutes. um, so great. Thank you all for doing that. After
Yeah.
tonight's program, we have also an evaluation that we send out. And if you could take the time to complete the program evaluation, I always love to let our presenters know that they did a great job, which Kristen always does for us. So if you could just remember to complete that as well. So thank you. And it looks like a few people would love to have you back for the 201.
Got it. God, like I said, there's so much you can do. Like, and I feel like I barely grazed the surface. So, this deluxe air fryer is almost 12 quarts. The other one that I had, the Go Wise USA one, which is from Amazon, that one was only like 6 quarts. So I liked it, but I didn't love it because I felt like it wasn't big enough for my family. And so the 12 quart one was definitely better for my family. Whereas a 6 quart one might work wonderful for you guys. All right, we have like, oh, there it is. We got it. All right. So when you release the pressure on the pressure cooker, it counts back from 5 to 0. And then on this specific model, it'll actually go into warming mode. So if you were going to do a natural release, this is where you would just let it count back up to 10 to like let it natural release. Manual release though, what I like to do is I like to just hit cancel, make sure the cooking process is completely done, pull it out from under your cabinets, or else you're going to get a really good steam clean on your cabinets because there's some crazy pressure that comes out of here. We're going to hit the pressure release button and let it go. And you're going to let that go until your pressure valve goes down. So my little turkey popper will go down when all of the pressure is released and it's safe to open. Okay. This is what I was talking about too. If you overfill it, you're going to have soup or stew sputtering right out of the top of here. I've had it happen before. If it does happen because you accidentally overfill it, you can just throw a kitchen towel over the top of it to prevent it from splattering all over your kitchen. Okay. But you do want to prevent that because you don't want to trap that steam either. So that's kind of my quick tip for that.
Kristen, I do have a question about the silicone rings that fit inside the lids.
Yeah.
Do you typically not replace those until they are actually breaking or wearing, or do you replace them with different types of foods that you're cooking in it?
So I actually have two different ones. I have one for sweet and one for savory. So like when I do my desserts in here, I use my silicone ring for sweet, just because I don't want it to smell like onion when I'm cooking cheesecake, because it is silicone and it will hold odors. I take them out after every time I cook, so it goes right in my dishwasher. I clean them best I can, but like I said, it will hold the odors. I typically change, I've never changed mine out yet. But if you need to, what you'll notice, I'll show you the silicone ring in just a second. I'll when I open it, I'll show you what it is. But you'll notice that it like just falls out of your lid. So once it's too stretched out, that's at that point when you're going to want to replace it. And it's just based on how much you use your pressure cooker.
Right. And I actually, if it doesn't work anymore, my lid won't close if it, no, right?
Yes.
If it notices there's something.
Yep, it's gonna
suspect with
catch.
it.
It's just not gonna seal properly. So I'll show you guys that silicone lid when the ring when I open it up. So it's all my turkey poppers down. I'm just gonna go ahead and open this up. Woo! It's still super steamy and super hot. The silicone ring is this part here. So this is the part that actually seals your steam, okay? And a lot of people I know personally, I have two, and I have one that's this color, and then I have like a teal colored one that I use when I bake, so that when I'm baking, I use my sweets one, so it doesn't smell like chicken parmesan when I'm baking, okay? So this you can just take right off, throw in your dishwasher, and then when it's like, if you turn your lid over and it's obviously not catching around the seal anymore and it's falling out, then you're gonna wanna replace it. And those are really inexpensive to replace. So here's our chicken parmesan, guys. I mean, 5 minutes and we have a whole chicken and pasta bake that we have here. The other thing you can do with this that included in the recipe, you can put some you can put some shredded mozzarella cheese right on the top of it. Put the lid back on. Don't even turn it on, but just let the residual heat melt that cheese on top. And you're gonna have melted cheese right on top of your chicken Parmesan. The other thing you can do too is take a little panko and a little bit of Parmesan cheese, mix them together, and then you're gonna sprinkle that on top of each individual serving. So it kind of tastes like a chicken Parmesan so it doesn't taste so one potty. You kind of have those extra textures in there as well. But look at how good that is. And I'm telling you, this chicken is so super tender because of the pressure cooking that it goes under. So your noodles are going to be perfectly al dente. You notice that they're not mushy at all. And your chicken is going to be a perfect texture as well. So pressure cooking a one pot meal is totally how I use it in my family. So there you go. Thanks for hanging out with me a couple extra minutes, guys. I was trying to time that perfectly for you guys. So I was almost there. All right. Did I miss any other questions while we were chatting, or silicone ring? Oh, the handouts we can get to you guys. I think we're good. Oh, hang on one second. I can't hear you. Hang on.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Yes, I can hear you now.
Do you do Pampered Chef parties? Was another question?
Yes. Yeah, I do virtual parties, so that's kind of my side job. Honestly, I get so many great products as a consultant, so just what I do. Right. But perfect. Cooking and my cooking instructor business is definitely my bread and butter, and this is what I absolutely love to do. So,
did you answer one about fish? If you cook fish in the air fryer, will your air fryer smell like fish even after you wash it?
I haven't had that issue at all. Pressure cooking, you can pressure cooker fish, and your silicone ring kind of will. You can use like a baking soda paste to help get that smell out of the silicone ring. I haven't had any issues with the air fryer though. I do shrimp and fish in it all the time, and I never have any residual smells in there.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure. Maybe I did not include the pressure cooker notes. I'm not sure if maybe I got those or not, Kristen.
Okay, so I can. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, why don't you send those to me? Because I remember having 2 handouts from you. One was definitely the recipe, and one must have been air fryer notes.
Yeah, maybe just didn't attach correctly. Yep, no worries. Perfect. And they're like 3 different documents, so
I will 3. Okay, yeah, for sure. That. Okay, so yeah, so those of you who did not get the pressure cooker notes, just drop me an email, and I will get those out to you tomorrow or whenever I can get them from Kristen.
Yeah, I'll get it to you guys tonight. I'll be on my computer tonight. So sorry about that, to make more work for you, Valerie.
No, that's okay. No problem. Well, thank you for joining us for tonight's program.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Kristen. It's always a pleasure working with you. And we look forward to having you back in April for some tacos. And we will look into doing a follow-up for this class, maybe in the summer or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to do it. We'll have a lot of fun together again.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Take care. Good night.
Bye. Thanks.